our zipper. Now what we have to do now is I want to do a line of stitching called top stitch, and it's going on the top right here, and it's going to make sure that my cushion sits nice and flat and that it doesn't get caught in the zipper teeth when it does up. So I'm going to give that a quick iron. We're going to come back and I'm going to do our top stitch. All right, we're back. Now I have given it an iron. I've pressed it so that it's sitting nice and flat, and I'm going to sew this part down. Now put the regular foot back on. I'm going to go forward and back again like I always do. And once again, we've got our zipper undone. So, oop, come on, I've got a bit caught on my little zipper teeth thing there. Yeah, okay. There we go. So, I'm just going to sew down, and then I'm just going to zip this back up. So lift the foot, zip it back up, and keep sewing. Now, that'd be nice and neat because this is red stitching on top of green. If you're doing a contrast, make sure it is straight because you will notice it. Direct and reverse at the end. And forward. Alright, we're going to turn around. We're going to go back the other way. So there's our first line. We went off a tiny little bit there, see? So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to redo that section. I'm going to put it back in. You're always going to notice it when you do a contrast stitch. All right, just re-sew that tiny little bit. There we go, that's better. So I'm going to turn it around. Now this time we're going to do the same as last time. We're going to sew down the side, but we're going to unzip when we get a bit closer. So we're going to put that down, put our needle in, and sew. Right, lift that up, lift just the needle up a tiny bit, and there we go. And sew. Now we've got that little piece of metal there that's gonna maybe get in the way. There we go. That'll do. Ugh. Okay, so there we have our top stitched zipper. I love that it shows a nice contrast with the red. Just got to cut that little piece off. And we are ready to join our entire thing together now. Right, so we've got to do our side seams around the outside of our cushion. Now, to do that, we need to make sure we have all of our sides matched up nicely, all our side seams. We also need to unzip the zipper quite the way. If we don't unzip the zipper, we're going to end up not being able to turn our cushion the right way. And we're going to pin about 1.5 centimeters. And when I do this, and when I learned how to do this, I would put my thumb or my finger here and I would pin on the other side of it. And that's usually about 1.5 centimeters. You need to fold over your zipper tape completely. So you need an exact fold in the middle. So I'm just going to tape this up. You can use a tape measure, but I've got my squares here on my mat, which are 1 centimeter. And so if you have a look there, have a look up there, see? That's about right. So we're going to just pin all the way. This is where we're going to sew. We're going to sew down this side seam. This is a seam. We are creating a seam. Oop, that's a bad pin. And a pin. So you do a pin. You don't have to do hundreds of them. When you put a pin in, put the pin in, lift up, push through. Now I'm going to turn my fabric. I'm going to keep the pins going in the same direction because that way they're easier to pull out as we travel around our sewing. So try and keep them the same distance from there. We need to make sure this bottom edge is fully matched up because it's a little bit different down the bottom here because of the zipper. Let's see if I pull it up. There we go. Just make sure it's matched. You don't want a big gap. You want as close a match as possible. One more pin on this side. Oh, that is not a pin. There we go. Turn again. So we're going to keep going. We can keep going in the same direction with our pins all the way around. So as we turn the corners, we can pull out the pins. We've got 3 pins down the side there. I might add a couple more. There we go. I'm going to make sure this is matched up. And we're going to sew over the top of that zipper tape. So we're going to turn her back around and we're going to sew from here. We're going to go down here, we're going to get to this corner, we're going to stop, we're going to lift our foot and turn, come down, lift our foot and turn, come down and sew right over. Now do not sew the little metal bits. You want to go just on the other side of the metal bit, okay? So we go back to the sewing machine and sew this closed. Here we go, we're going to sew this closed. Now some of you may think, why aren't we using the clips? I can't stab myself with those clips. And you could, but I actually find that the clips are a bit heavy for something like this. Once you've got this full of heavy clips that are going clickety-clack as you're trying to maneuver your fabric, it just is, it's awkward. So we're going to literally sew right over the top of the zipper tape. We're going to line up with that first line on our strike plate, put our needle in, take out our pin, and don't forget to reverse. It's super important at this stage because it is what's going to make our sewing strong. I'm going to pull out the pins as we come to them, keeping the line of the fabric against that line on the strike plate. Now, as you're getting close to that pin here, you're going to stop, turn. Now I'm doing the red stitching mainly so you can see it, but I don't think it will look bad. It looks well with my contrast colour scheme. Line back up. Keeping it together. That's why we have all the pins. Now remember, when we get back here, you're going to make sure that those 2 pieces are properly aligned and we're not going to sew over those little metal bits. Reverse. And I get to cut it. Love that feature. Cut off my stray bits. Okay, so it is now closed.